This podcast is a production of Digital and Creative Media Works. To help support us, head to dcm.works to find links to our other show notes, Patreon, and merch. Hey guys, welcome back to the Arthritis Podcast, official podcast of Digital and Creative Media Works. My name is David, DCM, creative director, lead writer, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Ben.
Hello.
What's going on, man? How you been?
I'm tired.
You
First
tired?
week of uni, it's straight back. It's just stress.
Ben's like
Instantaneous.
back at work, and it's just nothing but stress.
Yep, love it. It's great.
And this week, Ben, you know what? Actually, I will say this before we get into this, because
Sure.
this is the fourth episode in a row where we've enjoyed the thing that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, we're on a roll.
People are
This is like-
worried.
This is weird things happening. It's like we're
They're
getting
like,
less critical.
Have the
or
boys
something.
been brainwashed? It's like, no, we
Yeah.
just have picked some good stuff.
We're getting paid off.
We're paid off by Big
By
Marvel. People already
Big
think
Marvel?
that. People already think that we're getting
We're
paid off by
Big
Marvel.
Marvel.
Yeah, they think that Marvel somehow has us in their pocket in some way.
We don't earn enough money to get paid.
If they
off
were,
by
if they were
anyone.
paying us off, I'd be so happy at this point.
please pay us to
I-
give good reviews because we will.
Someone pay me.
We absolutely will sell out.
Someone please,
instantaneously.
someone please let us sell out. But this week, Ben, I thought we would talk about the style of Baby Driver.
Yes.
This is the coolest
Oh
film
my God.
I've seen in forever.
I'm so happy this film exists for so many reasons.
There is so much about. I want to do the negative stuff first because I feel like otherwise all we'll do is gush.
Fuck, I can't even think of the negative things.
But here's the drum, right? Real
Okay.
quick, is this film? Oh, man cave fell down. This film is.
Important branding.
Look, it's going to be DCMX Pillow when,
Alright,
when
we're
it
getting
arrives.
there.
It'll be nice. Look, I gotta say, we came out of this film and excited and happy.
I was shaking partly because I was cold, but
The
also
adrenaline.
partly because the film is just
The
fantastic.
fucking adrenaline of this film, like we came out of it and we were driving. I was driving you guys to the ferry, and I was just like, I was fucking amped. Like I was just like, it's so good.
Like, part of my adrenaline wasn't even wasn't even from the film. It was just like stepping out was like, shit, this is one of those films that's it's gonna last. Like, this is a film that's gonna be around for so long. It's gonna be like,
It's another Edgar Wright classic. You put it up there with
it's-
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the poster boy for how you do soundtracks.
Well, it's funny. So I did a bunch of research before this. Did you have a chance to watch that music video I linked you last night?
Not at all.
I was gonna say watch it now live, but we'll get pinged on copyright. But it's exactly the opening scene of the film,
okay.
but a music video, because it was Edgar Wright. He was like, he had this music video to do for this British band, this British rock band, and he was like, shit, I've got nothing. I'll just use the Baby Driver idea. And he talks about how in a lot of interviews where he was like kicking himself for wasting it on that or whatever. But then he realized, he was like, no, I can still
I could just make the film.
Yeah,
To make
and-
it longer. No one saw that.
Yeah, but it's
Because I didn't see it.
yeah, it's funny. Like he's talked about it throughout the press junket, because I kind of dug into a lot of the more obscure interviews. So I was more interested in when he was speaking to like podcasters and people that aren't necessarily asking him the same questions.
Right.
And there was an interview on
People
the
who are like, when are you going to work with Simon Pegg next?
yeah, no, they were
Yeah.
interested in his work,
Right.
in his art. And there was a really good interview on the Weekly Planet podcast. That's James and Mesa, who also interestingly just acquired Will Anderson's podcast in their podcast network.
Oh, that's
so
good.
big things happening over in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And they've
Bloody
worked
Melbourne.
they've worked with Sanspence before and everything.
Bloody Melbourne.
So well, there's a vague connection to us. So just full
we're in the same country.
full transparency. I've met a few, full transparency. But yeah, they had this really good interview with him where they kind of talk a bit about how his ideas came to the fore and how the music kind of informed the way the film was made. And I think it's interesting that when he was writing the script initially, it was more about, he had a few tracks in mind and he was like, oh, if you could do this kind of car heist movie driven by music,
Yeah.
And then eventually it evolved into what it became, which was, well, now we need a song for each scene. And the elaborate way that they had to film stuff, like they were practicing choreography for like days on end, and making sure that
Yeah.
actors were hitting like certain beats. And there was one particular moment that I thought was cool that I was reading about where it's a big action set piece, and it's like a 3-minute song. And Baby they're swapping cars, and Baby sits down and he rewinds the song.
Yeah.
When he gets into the new car.
Yeah, because he's
And-
like, no, we have to start again.
Yeah, and the reason for
Because
that,
like the timing is off.
the reason for that is the director had said, listen, you need to linger on this action more. It's too rushed. And Edgar Wright was like, well, the song's perfect for the scene. What are we going to do?
Rewind the
And then he
song.
was like, well, of course Baby would rewind the song.
Yeah.
Because that's what his character would do.
Yeah.
And it was such like a moment where I was like, oh, of course. Like it just, everything fell into place. And that's kind of those happy coincidences that come from when you have such a well-developed idea that those things feel very natural, and I feel like there was no part of this where
Well, there's two times where he rewinds his music. There's one time when they change cars, and then there's another time when the guys in the car faff about for a bit. The first time they rewind is when they're faffing about, and it kind of alludes you to the fact that it's like he's timed everything perfectly.
Is that the opening scene where he's like,
No. This is the second heist.
okay,
This is with the Mike Myers.
oh yeah, oh fuck,
Where they're fucking around, and like he's already played the
And he's
music,
like, no,
and they're
no,
fucking
wait.
around. He's
He's
like,
like,
wait,
I
and he
gotta-
rewinds. He starts the song again. He's like, okay, now you can go.
Mm-hmm.
It's this weird, like, it's really good characterization because that like alludes you to the fact that like it's not really a gimmick. Like he's actually using the
he
music.
uses the music,
Yeah.
and I think that as well, like, you know, when you think about how the character takes in information from shit, what's Kevin Spacey's character called?
Oh, I have no idea.
Suit Boy.
It's just Kevin Spacey. To
When
be
he,
honest.
when he takes it, but like Kevin Spacey, but real cool and slick.
Oh, he's
everyone in
he's
this
sick as
film
fuck in
is
this.
so cool.
Yeah.
Like everyone is just like John Hamm is like so cool. Everyone in this
Everyone's-
film is so cool.
Yeah, and everyone.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And it's such an aesthetic that would have taken like the casting would have been so careful to find people that can take off and bring in like they can take off the, you know, the kinds of people there and bring in the swagger and the rhythm and like, you know, like there's a few scenes that are just mind-boggling to like you watch them and you're like, how did they even
Things like the opening scene and
mean,
a lot of the action
just-
scenes, you're just like, where is this coming from?
the full 6-minute opening sequence is on YouTube. I think the Paramount published it because they were like, we want people
Oh,
to
it's
see this.
absolutely fantastic.
And like, I rewatched it last night when I was doing my research for this, and just everything about it,
Yeah.
everything about it. And every time I watch it, I'm like, what? Like, how did they do this? And it's just, you know, like, it's such a good film.
right, you're gonna get into the bad.
Okay,
Because apparently you have bad things about this film. I don't even remember.
Story's not very good.
Well, no. Yeah, I get. I mean,
It's a bit sexist. It's a bit like,
yeah.
it's just kind of like, you know, I mean,
I agree.
Sorry,
You can-
it trends towards being sexist. It isn't actually sexist because in the end, Deborah beats a dude over the head with a lead pipe, and then
Yeah, she has a bit of
you know
agency.
she gets in there.
not much,
Not a
but
lot.
a bit.
I went to the bathroom. So before this film, I knew I'd need to pee because we've been recording
Same.
all day and drinking beer all
I forget when I
afternoon.
peed.
So I looked it up before. Like I looked up when to pee
Right.
on the internet because I'm an adult.
Because
and
you're
I-
that kind of person,
and I
yeah.
pre-prepare. So I knew the exact moment to go pee. The exact moment that I went to go pee was when they set up their relationship. So I
Okay.
missed why they had a connection beyond just that they were two attractive young people.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's-
when you break it down, it is just they both like music,
Which is like
guess,
fine.
but
Like as a cripplingly single young man, I don't necessarily connect to that a lot.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I don't get why they're attracted to each other. Maybe it's just because they're both pretty and they both like music. And then I went, you know what? That's how most relationships start. and end.
even watching the film, I felt like even though I did run out for a bit, I was like, had they like skipped past some time at any point? Because like they go from like they go from him literally like seeing her on the side of the road
to being
to
in love.
him being at the same like cafe she's at, to him like taking her out on a really expensive date. It's
I think the idea.
where's the
Where's
the weird awkward small talk? Where's like
here's the thing, Ben, and I think this is what they were trying to say, right? In this day and age,
right.
and this is Edgar Wright, remember? So he's an oldish boy now.
I was gonna say this film is very 50s.
Very 50s. And I just think it's very much like breeze over the stuff that you don't want to bother caring about.
Right.
So it's like, don't show them
He's
doing this.
not like on
awkward small talk.
Tinder swiping right or anything. You know,
Okay, yeah, they skip that like boring millennial trying to get back into dating when you're 22 and it's-
They did put e-cigarettes in it. E-cigarettes are in this film.
yeah. Well, it's
always
set
an
now, but what I liked is that
It's a weird trend that I'm always like aware of in films. Whenever they like someone pops up with an e-cig, you're like, this is weird.
it's weird because it's a meme.
It's weird.
But like, I think that's
It's
interesting.
like the resurgence of smoking in films.
yeah,
Except
it is odd.
acceptable on a weird level.
I mean, but it's more of like a villain. It's like it's like less of a villain thing, more of a
it's either like a douchebag.
douchebag.
There's. I mean, we can I could talk about hours for it.
Or
'cause
like
I've seen
Kib
it.
from Sugar Pine 7, where it's just a weird thing you can blow on people's face.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway. Bad things.
Yeah, you kind of derailed me with that, and now I kind of lost my train of thought. But I think though, what the point you were getting at, and that's interesting to me, that you picked up on the fact that it felt like there was a time jump, or like that there was a slip,
like
and
the
that it just
pacing
goes
was off.
unnoticed.
Yeah.
With I think but you know what, I think it serves the film well because after that it's go, like it's just nonstop.
I think the main problem is you don't have much of a frame of reference between the time when he gets free, like he pays off his spoilers. The time where he pays off his debts, it's pretty early anyway, to the time where he gets pulled back in. Like that,
We don't know how long.
we don't know how long that is, and the film doesn't explicitly tell you, because it kind of just jumps between like him being home, him at the diner, him being home again, him back at the expensive place, and then him being back in. It's like that could easily be months.
And I think that's fun, because what you get then is you get the, and you know, this is something that I think this film does really well, is there's a kinetic energy to that time passage that means that you don't necessarily care about how long it was, you care about the outcome of that time.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, in the film, I didn't really care. It felt weird, because
Yeah,
there wasn't even like a classic Edgar Wright like montage, like fast. I was waiting for one of those, but there was no like fast montage to show like time has passed. Like it just kind of like one scene after the other, but there was definitely some
bridging
time between
elements.
them. You just don't know how much.
And I think that's a trend that we've seen a bit more in, particularly with these bigger kind of, I don't know, set piece is the wrong word, but there's definitely like an element of trying to make these, particularly because it's like not part of a franchise, trying to make it feel like it has a really defined purpose. Like this whole film, everything is channeled toward the music.
Yeah,
And I think that giving us that rhythm in those scenes, it's a bit like it's not quite connected. You know, you can't quite mark the passage of time. I think it mirrors the feelings they're supposed to have really well. And you kind of do, like, you know, when you quit a job and you're not really working,
you kind of lose track.
of time. And when you're like in the start of like a romance, there is this element of like, it's kind of hard to pinpoint how long it's been, because it feels like it's either been forever or it's brand new, and that you kind of fluctuate between the two.
Yeah,
I think the film does a good job of letting us feel the way that Baby does without being like having Baby tell us how he feels.
Yeah,
because that's a big sin.
it's a good thing it's not the focus of the film.
Well, yeah, because boy, wouldn't that be a problem?
Yeah, that would be a problem.
Because the focus is cars and music.
Yeah,
But you know, it's funny too that I didn't. This should be a film that I don't like, because it's about cars.
I don't care about cars at all. But I was like
fuck, it's
super into this
so
film about cars.
Good. It's because it's Edgar Wright at his prime, like
Yeah,
at his,
like
it's him
if-
doing what he does.
This is like I wish I tweeted this before, but this is my favorite Fast and the Furious sequel. Like
Best Fast and Furious film.
best Fast and Furious film ever. Like it's got all the
So good.
things you need for Fast and Furious. I'm pretty sure some of the actors are some of the same as well.
Probably. I mean, even the foot races that they have, like when someone's chasing someone.
Yeah, when
else
they're just
on foot,
hoofing it. Yeah,
Fucking
very
intense.
it's very it's very Fast and Furious.
It's also hard. It's hard to. Cause I think it's just because like the pace, like it doesn't relent, and the music kind of sweeps you up in that
Oh my
pacing.
God.
And that last hour is just non-stop, and like I didn't blink. I don't think. Like, I was just there, and that's such a crazy thing to be able to do. And it's just, you know, it's the choreography, it's everything involved, but I was so blown away by how transfixed I became by that point.
Yeah.
That when the movie ended, I was like, like I breathed out for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Holy
All right,
crap.
we're done.
But along the way, it's so stylish. Like
It's just so smart.
Every part of this film hits the beats it needs to. And I think, you know, one of the criticisms it keeps getting is that it doesn't like say a lot, doesn't like have much substance or whatever.
Yeah, but like
That's
Shaun
kind
of
of-
the Dead doesn't say shit. Hot Fuzz doesn't say
Yeah,
anything,
it's-
and everyone loves those films.
I mean, you know,
That's why when I came out, I was like, this isn't like Titanic or some shit. This isn't.
keep going. Why are you stopping?
I'm getting confused. Like it's not Citizen Kane.
Yeah, like it's not trying to do anything except express this vision that Edgar Wright had of this
Yeah,
badass. But you know, I mean, maybe the truth of that then isn't that necessarily the film was trying to have a message, but rather that the film itself was the message, right? Like it's like this
That
is,
it's like you can do films like this.
yeah, you
This
can
is
do
how you
action
it?
films and have them not be shallow wastes of time.
right?
Like you watch a Fast and Furious and they're fun. Like I like the Fast and Furious franchise, but they're dispensable.
I mean-
this is like a timeless way of doing that.
they're kind of shit.
Okay, people that trash those films don't get the point of them. They're fun. You turn your brain off. But this is saying like, look, you can do this genre and have it work.
You can turn your brain off on Baby Driver and have a fantastic time.
Yeah, agreed.
So it's
but it's more timeless. Like it's designed to last. It's designed to last rather than like, with the Fast and Furious where they want to make another one next year.
Yeah, like
That's what I'm saying.
I'm very glad that this film doesn't have any sequel hooks. Like it knows what it is. It knows what it has to be. It's just like cut and dry. It's just a film.
It's a story with an ending.
Yeah,
And that's something that you don't get a lot.
You don't get that often
At the moment because it's like franchise because you got to sell more tickets.
Sequels and this is like a real breath of fresh air from like just a legitimately good filmmaker.
I mean, Edgar Wright has had a few really bad films,
Really?
but most of them are really good. Yeah, well, the bad ones you don't hear about. For a reason.
Yeah.
But the Cornetto trilogy is like,
the third one's pretty.
It's
That one isn't the best.
no, you
Definitely
know what?
the worst of three of
It's
them.
the worst of the three, but it's still really
It's
good.
still
for
good,
It's still
yeah.
really good. But
Still entertaining.
I just think that this is
The
a
most
really
forgettable one though. Do you remember what happens?
So there's Simon Pegg, who's like a high school dropout, goes back
Let's
to
not
his
go
hometown.
into it. You clearly.
I remember the whole
You
film.
clearly understand it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the interesting thing about that is he was like, how do I do long, unprotracted kung fu fight scenes? That was what that whole film was about.
Right.
And then, like, Shaun of the Dead was like, how do I do zombies in an interesting way?
Zombies. Yeah.
And I just think that this was a good example of Edgar
And-
Wright being like, how do I put my twist on the kind of bank heist, Fast and Furious genre? And what he did in the end is he was like, well, what's the thing that I care about the most?
Yeah.
And it's style and it's music and it's putting a vision together that's really cohesive.
Yeah. Well, this film is like it's the best. Yeah, it's the best Fast and Furious film. It's the best Ocean's 12 film, which they're actually remaking. I don't know if we've talked about that.
We haven't yet, but it looks great.
I mean, I have questions. It's the best. What am I thinking of? Fuck.
I don't know, buddy. It's in your head.
There was a third one. I don't know. It's like the best like Jason Bourne film. Like,
I mean, I would argue that it's maybe not as it's more like a really good reminder of why we liked bits of Pulp Fiction, I think. Like it just has an element of like violence that isn't violence for violence sake. Like it's just like violence happens in this film and you're like, okay, that's just part of it.
There are some Tarantino vibes.
Yeah, a bit of that. And even
One thing I really want though. So there's
Jesus,
I've literally
okay.
think about this for like this whole week since this film came out. This film does a really cool thing where characters have I don't know how to put it, but characters have like linear time. So the film does it a lot, mainly with Baby, but then they do it to other characters, and this is a complete. But I just
Go
remembered,
for
the characters will do things where they will, with a lot of other films, the editing causes inconsistencies in timescales, where like cuts and like reverse shots will cause characters to seemingly freeze or
Yep.
like stop existing in time
until the camera cuts back.
until the camera goes back. It's a thing where it's like everyone is a fucking angel statue, where like they only move when the character is on them.
You know what it is? It's everyone is a character in a Japanese RPG game.
Yeah,
Where they don't exist until the screen is back on.
and so many films have that problem, and like a lot of films they fix it by either like doing the same shot from multiple angles, or just like characters just won't have agency when they're outside of the
I mean,
the frame.
and there's audio solutions too, where you have someone start. You have the audio cut in from the next person over the top
There
of
are.
the first one. So there's ways you can do it, but it
Yeah.
always feels kind of.
But in this film, he doesn't like. They don't give a fuck. Characters will just go. Like there is so many, and they do it a lot with Baby, where he consistently will just disappear.
He'll just
Where
be
the camera
moving
will be
away.
on him, and then the camera will cut to someone else, and you go back and he's gone, and they play it off as this like, oh, he's like mysterious and he disappears. But like if you go back, if you watch the film and you pay attention to how long reverse shots takes,
Yeah.
absolutely enough time to just skedaddle.
And like
And the thing is, every character does it. Even like in the spoilers, in the final, sort of like the final showdown where he's in the car and he's like about to
catch a sneeze.
Kroggy just sneezed. He absolutely did.
Now he's shitting and making eye contact.
Welcome to AFA.
Creepy.
So, like even the bad guy, what's his name? Buddy.
John Hamm, yeah.
Buddy. he has a bit where when his car's like driving off the thing, he's like trying to get out of the car door, and then the car like rolls over the edge, and you're like, and most other films would be like, I mean, it's a like some films would be like, aha, he managed to escape. Some other films would just be like,
also
that's the end. But
They
it's
also
like,
fake you out with like they pan up from the bottom to make you think he's going to be hanging on
yeah, they fake out so many
to the
times.
ledge.
So they fake out enough to where you're like, oh, maybe he's actually dead.
Yeah.
But then it's like, no, he got out. Like there was plenty of time.
Heaps of time. Between the cuts, he had heaps of time to get
Yeah,
out.
and then the stuff like with, especially again in that.
Well, I mean,
final
even in that
fight,
scene where Deborah has time to get the tire iron and sneak up behind him.
Yeah.
Because all of that's happening in real time.
because characters have.
No, Ben, no one does that. Like, it's crazy that no one does that.
Yeah, it's this thing where
It creates such
because
kinetic force.
Yeah, because they do it throughout the entire film. You get a lot more like you get like. It's weird, kind of like it's not suspense. It's like things will just happen, and you'll be like, "Oh, that was smart."
Yeah,
Makes you like the characters more.
You know what it is? It's the thought. I think that's exactly the thought. It's, oh, that was really smart because the characters in the
like
world
the-
don't feel dumb. One of my biggest criticisms of the most recent Alien film, so Prometheus and then Alien Covenant,
Right.
is the characters feel really stupid.
They're all very dumb.
This was the opposite. Everyone in this film feels
Everyone's
really
like
smart.
switched on. Everyone knows
They
what
feel
they're
like
doing.
they know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Like Deborah, like when John Hamm, when Buddy goes to the diner and confronts her, and then Baby arrives, she's not like trying to send him like signals. She just goes, "Your friend is here," and she looks like there's like
and it
she's-
just pans over, and he's there.
it's not like, "Oh, baby, you better bloody watch out, mate." And then John Hamm comes up behind him and is like, "I bloody got you, mate. I'm
Yeah.
here." It's like, that's how it would go. If it-
Characters are just given the opportunity to just cut. Yeah, because what's his name? It's not like fucking Buddy would be like hiding behind the door, going like, "Oh, when
he'd
is he
be-
gonna come?"
he'd
Like,
be
no,
drinking a coffee.
he'd sit down drinking a coffee
'Cause
and
what
just
else are you
wait
gonna do
for
while
him.
you wait?
Yeah, because he's like busted up and he's sad. He's a sad boy. So
He's
it's
a
like
sad boy.
he's just gonna do that.
And like that is such a like it sounds like such a small thing, and I don't know, I think people forget this when you talk about criticism. This is probably speaking to the larger reason why we had the fucking podcast in the first place, but I think people have this tendency when you talk about small features of projects like that or pieces of art, small features like that, and they go, well, that's one thing. Yeah,
like,
there's just like
yeah,
a
but
little
it's
bit.
like-
but here's the thing, right? It's all of those little
It's all of those one things.
iterative small things that transform a project from being average to being really something that you're going to remember.
Yeah.
And I think there's a tendency for people to latch onto one feature and be like, well, Baby Driver was good because it had really good music.
Yeah,
It's like,
I feel
well,
like
you know,
most people are gonna be like, "Baby Driver was a good film because all of the action was synchronized to the music," and you're like, "Yeah,
it was, but
But
you
like
know,
that's
one
That's the
element.
point of the film. Yeah,
that's the point of the film. It's
It's-
not.
Without that, it's still actually it's still a lot of like really interesting elements that the film does.
Maybe more of it than that without protracting the thought too much. I think, you know, when people talked about the first Guardians of the Galaxy film and why that was good, there was a tendency to lean very heavily on, oh, well, the music, the soundtrack was
Into
awesome.
the soundtrack, yeah.
And it's like, you're not wrong. The film heroes the soundtrack. But the reason that it can hero the soundtrack is that they've laid the foundation for that to be possible by
Yeah.
making a solid film in the first place.
Yeah,
And that's what this film. That's
To
what
me,
Baby Driver
Baby Driver is it does a thing where it looks at people who like you know sort of put Guardians on this pedestal of like the film with the bestest soundtrack ever, and it's like, oh, you think that had a good soundtrack? Oh, that's cute. Let me just like make a film that has music entirely throughout and is entirely synchronized.
It's like, yeah.
Let me just do that and then also make a good film. Let me just
I imagine Edgar
let me
Wright.
just hold my beer.
I imagine Edgar Wright saw Guardians and he was like, I've been thinking of this idea for 10 years. Mine's better. And like, that's like, and it was.
Yeah.
But and that's the funny thing too, that maybe, I don't know, people that weren't awed by it, I'm like, I get it. Like, it's not for everyone. It's a film. Like, I think there's a tendency, I think there's a tendency though, when something this comes out like this and people are like, it's the best thing I've seen in years. There's a tendency for other people who didn't like, it's not for them, who were like, well, it didn't like blow me away. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
It may not be for you. Like,
There's
this
a
isn't
tendency
for everyone.
to be the contrarian.
Yeah, a little bit. I was thinking more of it just that sometimes a film isn't for everyone. This is for
Yeah.
a very specific audience. It's people that like films. It's people that love how weird Guardians was when it came out. It's people that love how tight heist films can be. It's not for everyone, and I think that's kind of nice.
It's a really good heist film as well, because it actually it doesn't fall into the trap of having too many likable characters and like having them succeed.
Yeah,
That's an annoying heist thing where it's just like all of the main characters are great and amazing and perfect, and
George
of course
Clooney
they
does
succeed.
it every time.
Yeah, and
Everyone
it's like
dies
just-
in this a lot.
yeah,
You know, and that was something that Edgar Wright talked about in the interviews, was that he interviewed a bunch of ex-cons and actually had some of them become executive producers on the project to help out with some of the stuff.
Right.
And it's interesting because what you end up getting is a kind of a more realistic picture of how criminals doing this kind of thing have a relationship with music, and how they have a relationship with, like, you know, Jamie Foxx's character talks about Hex songs where, you know, if it was before a heist and
Well,
it came on the radio.
yeah.
And actually he mentions Hotel California, and that's Jamie Foxx's Hex song, where whenever that plays before he does something, it goes badly. So Edgar Wright tapped into that and went, well, how do I make this character feel more real? Well, I know that Jamie Foxx feels that way, so let's write that into the character.
yeah.
And it's very much, you know, when he talked to those criminals and he talked to those ex-cons, what he kind of started doing, it seems like, was tapping into the lifeblood of those kind of, not even just the interactions, but the way that those characters relate to their work.
Yeah, Jamie Foxx's character was also cool because he had that speech that he would give, which was almost that like
The ritual.
that's
Before
yeah,
he
that
got
sort
out
of
of the
like
car.
justification
That's
kind
our
of thing.
that's our money.
Yeah,
it's taken it
which
from us.
like, don't get me wrong, like I like Jamie Foxx, but fuck, his character is just the worst character. Not the worst character isn't like the worst
just
character,
so
but like I
unlikable.
fucking hate him. When he died, I was like, yes,
Yeah, and
yes,
that's my favorite.
So good.
Jamie Foxx plays a really good villain.
He plays a
'Cause
really good
'cause he
guy to
gets
root
it.
against.
Because he gets it. And like he's, you know, there was a really cool interview with him and Ansel Elgort, and they're talking to, I want to say Stephen Colbert, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And someone, you know, the person interviewing them is like, I really loved it when you died. And Jamie Foxx was like, I know, so did I. It's so good. Because he gets it. That's why the film works. Is
I
every
really liked it
Yeah.
when you died. Yeah,
and he was like, oh my God, I
that's
loved it
true.
as well.
Because that scene is just so just.
It's the sign of a really good antagonist.
It's the really big turn. That's like the turning point for the film. That's when like
fuck, everything kicks off, man.
and that's when the final hour begins.
And then it's
you
just
just strap
nonstop.
yourself in. Yeah.
If you were gonna, this might be a good place to end. I was just thinking, if you were gonna like bring this film to someone 10 years ago,
Oh god.
they would lose their mind. They would be like, "This is the best thing ever made."
Yeah, like how was this made?
Because they haven't seen the transitionary
They would
period.
also be like, what is that he's got in his ears?
Well, we had iPods.
What is an iPod? They had like Gen 1 iPods.
No, Gen 1 iPods were way
2007?
before that, dude.
Yeah, we had
Dude,
iPod.
Facebook was
We had like
2007. What
we
are
had
you
like
talking
nanos
about?
and shit and
Dude, we
yeah.
fucking had iPod Nanos. We had iPod. No,
We had
sorry.
iPhone, didn't we?
iPhone 1 was 2008, I want to say.
Yeah.
I really have no idea if
that
that's
my
true or
phone?
not. Huh?
That is my phone.
Are you
we'll
ringing?
just ignore that.
Okay. Is
Yeah.
the cushions
The
vibrating?
cushion's vibrating a little.
It's kind of
bit.
weird.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a good place to end. I don't know. This was just one of those. It was just refreshingly different and enjoyable. And I think that if you can make a film like that and you have a singular vision and you can get lucky enough to get a studio that will give you the opportunity to do that, you can do genuinely good work.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing to see.
This film is like absolutely just a must see. Like I said it when we left, but it's like it's an instant classic. Like it's just a really good movie. And like even like all the acting's fantastic and the story is whatever. But like everything else, it's just a good film to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any recommendations for this week, Benjamin?
Baby Driver.
Yeah, fucking peep it.
The Emoji Movie coming out tomorrow.
Shit. We lost everyone. Culture's over.
Yep. Culture is dead.
Shit. What? Shit. Do I even have any? I've started rewatching Mad Men, and I have never been happier with the decision. In my
That's
life.
good.
It is the best TV program ever made.
Nice.
So if you are looking, if you've been that person that's like, I don't want to watch Mad Men, everyone says it's really good. It's not that good. It genuinely is. If you're a writer, if you're anything involved in the media industry, you have to watch Mad Men. It's so good.
Okay, David, I will go watch Mad Men
Boy,
right
it's
now.
good. You probably would hate it, but everyone
Right,
else.
good.
Yeah, that's all I got. No, that's not true. Dear Seattle have a is the EP the long one or is the LP the long one? In music.
LP is the long one.
So they have an EP out, Dear Seattle. It's really good. It's on Spotify. I love it. I think that's all. I haven't been doing much. I'm real fucking busy. But as always, Ben, where can people find us? It's that time of the week.
Facebook,
DCM Works a social.
YouTube,
YouTube.com/DCMworks.
Twitter,
DCM_works gets me every time.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/DCMworks. We just put up a post on the Patreon only one explaining a bit about the branding changes and what's coming up next.
Ooh,
and
things are happening.
what is happening. So if you want to get a bit of behind
Go
the
on
scenes,
Twitter and see it because it's all already up.
the Patreon though. No, the branding's up, but I'm saying there's some behind the scenes stuff
Ah,
on the Patreon.
there you
if
go.
wanna
New
peep it.
logo.
Yeah,
Peep
and if you are a Patreon, if you donate and help support us with more than $3 a month, you get access to Open to Suggestion, our Patreon only show, where we test new ideas, do some kind of weird
We
stuff.
just shoot the shit.
There's some really fun stuff coming up.
We
that I'm
just
excited
blast
about.
the poop.
Um,
I'm gonna stop before I get us banned off iTunes.
I'm not sure that's the tagline. But as always, I should say. With
Oh,
the new
no.
branding- no.
What more?
With the new branding, there's new merch.
Oh yeah, I was
so
gonna say Redbubble.
It's not here. It'll be here next week. But we'll have the pillow
DCM Works.
next week, and you'll be able to see the pillow.
It's a new logo. It's
New
cool.
logo. It's really nice.
It's a nice logo.
I love it so much.
It is a good logo.
I think we picked real good.
I think someone else on the internet nailed it, and then we chose them.
And then Ben
for
and
nailing
James convinced me that it was the right one.
Yep.
So yeah, you go check that out. You can get at the moment
out to
it's
James.
just a pocket tee and just the pillow, but there's more coming. I've got some other artwork in the cannon ready to fire. I just have to pull the trigger on it. Not a great metaphor.
You got
but
you got some more merch in the can ready to just plop onto a
I
plate and
wish-
put in the microwave.
I wish you wouldn't microwave poop. But as always, I'm at DCM Hippie.
I'm at Literal Citrus.
I'm gonna see you guys next week. It was probably a song that reminded me of it, or I'd done an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice.
Writing is definitely an isolating thing.
From an outside perspective, that's weird as
It makes
fuck.
us look really mental.
But that is because of what it kind of said about art.
I had fun in bits. There were fun bits.
We went and bought a value pack of straps.
Oh my god, we did. There's a big lesson here to learn about storytelling.